The number of people forced to flee their homes around the world has been steadily growing over the last decade. But the UN says the crisis in Ukraine has tipped the figure over 100 million for the first time since records began, and that the situation looks set to get worse.
The type of conflict that we see developing in eastern Ukraine is the worst for civilians, is very violent, is very rough, very destructive of both lives and infrastructure, and very terrifying for the civilians affected.
The UN Refugee Agency estimates that of the 6 million people who initially left Ukraine, 2 to 3 million have returned. But damage to their homes caused by the conflict means it's likely they remain displaced within the country in need of humanitarian aid. But the UN is also urging people to remember the plight of other refugees, particularly those from Burkina Faso, where the number of displaced is one of the fastest growing in the world. And the High Commissioner for Refugees highlighted the Rohingya who fled Myanmar, described as suffocatingly deprived of any solution. The UN also says rising inflation is making it harder for countries to find money for humanitarian aid appeals. And at the end of 2021, 40% of refugees were hosted in countries suffering from food crises. Experts say the burden of caring for the displaced continues to fall on the poorest.
If you look at who's actually hosting refugees around the world, I think Germany is the only developed country in the top 10 host nations. And in fact, like 13% of refugees in the world are hosted in like Uganda, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Not rich countries. So the rich part of the world needs to, lift its part of the burden.
The UN says that could change if lessons are learned from the welcome the West has given to Ukrainians.
By and large, they've been taken in generously, they've been taken in effectively, therefore it's possible. Now, I'm not naive, I fully understand the context, I fully understand that it may not be able to be like this always, but certainly it proves an important point. The arrival of desperate people at the shores or at borders of rich countries is not unmanageable.
The UN says the rising pace of global displacement is concerning. It's calling on the international community to redouble efforts and share the responsibility of helping those forced to flee their homes. Sarah Walton, CGTN, New York.